What's up, team? My name is Methos and I'm your wolf brother of the Space Wolves, and the man to my left is...
Hey guys, I am Freak and I play the Imperial Fist.
Today we got something new for you. We're going to talk about getting in on the cheap.
Wow, on the cheap, what does that mean?
It means there's definitely a cost associated with getting into Warhammer, right?
You're absolutely right.
So one of the things we're going to work on is getting in for less than we would otherwise have to.
Right, and I mean, one of the things that we run into is the cost.
Yep. Flashing back to our previous video, we talked about getting into the game and what got us to the game. And Freak, you had some concerns, right?
I sure did. As a matter of fact, if you haven't seen our first video, I ask you to go back and look at that. Watch that. It kind of give you a bios of where we came from, especially me. I'm still considered a very new player, and what some of my concerns were, but why I actually decided to play. But one of my concerns was cost. How much am I going to have to shell out? You know, because it is a hobby.
All of you remember, you were there if you're playing now. You know, you start finding out how much is it going to take to cost to get in this game. Well, you need this, and you need that. Ooh, that's kind of expensive.
And now you're living under a bridge because you bought so much. And
we've all had that Warhammer coma before. We wake up with way too much. We may have forgotten to pay rent. I'm just saying, we may have been there. So, getting in a little bit cheaper, we've got some tips here. Consider these a life hack for your wallet when you're playing 40K, at least when you're getting started.
Awesome.
So, first thing we're going to do is familiarize ourselves with the game. And that's almost one of the most important things you can do. Because, sure, you may like the look of the models. You may like the story and fluff. You may like the idea of the game or what you've heard about it so far.
Well, let me ask you something. Slow down a second. What is this fluff you're talking about?
So fluff, of course, is the... If this were the fluff, I would be playing the fluffiest army in all of Warhammer. But seriously, fluff is consider it the background story to this universe we're playing in. You know, it's the story so far. It's what's going on in the world right now. It's the universe we're playing in.
Right. Basically, it ties all the factions, all the armies, everything that is happening within Warhammer 40K 7th edition, and ties it all together and helps you, or helps identify your army or your faction within that world.
So I might like the story and the personality of a certain army, or how, you know, certain battles I've heard of. But if I don't like the game mechanics, the rules, how the game is played, then I've wasted all that money and time for nothing, right?
Right.
So the savings so far, priceless. Next thing we can do, familiarize ourselves with the rules of the game.
Man, that's important. I tell you what, there's nothing worse than actually going to a game and not knowing the rules.
It can be a very frustrating and powerless feeling. Nothing worse than, you know, you're excited, you've put together some models, you painted them up, you put them on the table, and you don't understand what's going on, and people are just telling you to roll dice, and you've got people dying, and then they tell you to roll some more dice, and you didn't kill anybody on their team, and then you lost the game without understanding what happened.
Right, so basically somebody else is playing through you by proxy.
Dance on the puppet strings. It's also frustrating sometimes for other people because you want to move the game along, and some people, you know, you may come across someone who refuses to learn the rules. But then they're constantly frustrated when they learn a new rule. Right,
those are sandbaggers. You gotta watch them. I mean, it is a frustrating thing to play somebody who refuses to learn the rules.
So you're gonna improve your experience and the experience of those people you're playing with if you familiarize yourself with the rules. Now, you could go straight for the rule book if you learn best by book, and it's got lots and lots of rules in Warhammer to learn. And that's gonna cost you 40 to 50 bucks right there.
Right. As a matter of fact, some actually come with supplemental sets, which are approximately about $80 plus for an entire set. It's a lot of money, especially for rules that could actually be shared amongst other teammates.
And if you're at that point, you don't even know if you're going to stick with the game yet. It's a very intimidating cost.
Right.
So you can lessen this. Give yourself a good foundation. And there's a lot of YouTubers who will teach you how to play Warhammer 40K, especially this edition which currently is the 7th edition of Warhammer.
That's right. One of our favorite, and as a matter of fact, that's where I learned a lot of my gaming, especially the rules, is our very favorite Mini Wargamer Jay.
And Mini Wargamer Jay is great. You'll find a link to his channel down below in the comments, or the description, and he does a great job. He's entertaining, he walks you through the rules step by step, he breaks up every phase, every turn, and he will make sure that you understand the game. Great job, and I couldn't recommend anyone better to teach you the game.
As a matter of fact, that's how I actually started, because when I first became interested in the game, Methos said, hey, you need to check out his channel. Go to that first. Before you do anything, check out his channel. See if you really can get into it. I fell in love with the game right then and there. So Jay does a good job of doing a play-by-play.
It took a few beatings. Hey, did you watch that channel yet? Hey, did you watch Jay yet?
I lived for a month.
So, but once you do, it really helps give you a good base understanding for the rules, and experience will only make that better. Now again, Jay is our favorite person teaching how to play Warhammer 40K, but if you'd like us to do the same thing and show you how to play Warhammer 40K, let us know in the comments below, and we can definitely do that for you.
Right, that's right.
That being said, once you've given yourself a good foundation of the rules, you know, really, I think people underestimate this step, but the next most important thing you can do is build some relationships.
Right, that's really important, especially in your local community. And there are ways to actually do that. One of the ones is actually look online, look on Facebook. Social media is a great way to actually connect with other players who, just like you, are trying to connect with people like you.
Yeah, here in the Houston area, we have a Facebook page called Warhammer 40K Houston, and a good community of people looking to hang out and play with other people who play Warhammer and give some hobby tips, show their work in progress, and that kind of thing. You can build those relationships.
Right, also local gaming stores. There's typically one gaming store around your area. So go over there, go talk to the owner, find out more about the community, see how often that they actually have tournaments, and go and hang out. It's just actually observe a tournament or a game.
Like our favorite game store, Swords and Superheroes in Kingwood, Texas, they have Warhammer every Friday night, and then they do Saturday tournaments once a month. So
and that's where we're filming from right now.
So that's a great idea. And then of course another idea is have a man on the inside. If you know someone who's playing, then that might be a way that you can get in and watch the game being played and start building those relationships.
Again, that's how I came around, because I knew somebody in the inside, like a spy.
Because he's got a man on the inside and now a group of friends on the inside. This man drives a long way to play here in Kingwood.
Right, there's something wrong with me.
That's why
I'm
he's
addicted.
a freak. Now, building some of those relationships will do a lot of things for you. For instance, if you start playing with just this base understanding, you'll get that experience with these other people who will be happy to let you know what a rule you may have forgotten, help you understand some of the rules a little better. And to be honest with you, there's some ways you save money between each other. I don't know what happened there. There's some ways to save money amongst each other.
Right.
For instance, there's probably about 20 of us friends who play at our local store, and I guarantee you there's probably about 3 rule books between all of us.
And we don't even know where they are.
So we just pass them around as we need them, especially now that most of us are experienced enough we remember most of the rules. So we just pass it around to whoever needs it at the time.
Right. It's actually a really good way to share that knowledge and information. So especially with the cost.
And making friends having fun is really one of the best things about this hobby.
Right.
And then of course, I like an ancient art called practicing your Google Fu. I'm Asian, so it's not racist. So with practicing our Google Fu, one of the most important things and this is going to take some time, it may not be the most interesting thing for you right away, especially when you just want to jump in and play, but you got to put in the research.
Right, and you're not talking about just the game, but research what other people do. Get an understanding of how other people play their games. Research other armies, other factions.
Research all the factions. Narrow it down to the one you like.
Right, because there's going to be, you're going to have an opportunity to select one army. And typically, Like for me, I wanted an army that represented me and something close to my personality.
And so research the stories of these armies, their personalities, their play style. Play style can be a big deciding factor.
Right.
I've said before in our very first video, I wanted to get close enough to punch something in the face. So I chose an army that let me do that.
Oh yeah.
So this will save you money, definitely, because some people don't know what army they want to play until they get in and they test a few armies. And they jump from army to army until they're satisfied.
Right, but you know what happens when they get actually bored because they've not really selected an army that they really like? Winds up in the used bin, right?
Winds up in the used bin or just sitting in someone's closet.
Right.
And that's just sad.
It's sad. I'm crying on the inside.
So, with that, you know, sure, you can eventually learn about your army by reading the codex once you invest in it and learn all the fluff, learn all the units. But I really, from a personal standpoint, feel like you should love your army by the time you commit that kind of cash to it.
Right. Now, you mentioned the codex. What exactly is the codex?
Codex is a set of rule books specific to your army. Okay? Just like this thing here. This is the Codex to the Dark Angels.
That is a codex.
It's going to be army specific, so I can't just say, hey, can I borrow your rule book for the army because I play Space Wolves.
And I play Imperials in that.
This one's not going to help us, right? So we're going to need something specific to our armies. And it's going to give us the fluff in the story. It's going to give us the stats. And that's one of the more important things. It's going to let us know what our units do and what the different units are.
Right, and that also includes in the use of weapons. It's really important to be able to know what weapons your units can actually take, what skills go along with them, and your codex will be specific and speak to those very needs.
But if you've put in the research and you've looked to see the fluff of your army, you look to see those special things about your army before selecting it online using your Google Foo, then right there, that's saving you some of the cost of the codex right there.
Right.
Really put in the research, and even better, find out the meta of your army. Find out what's good, what works, what's strategically sound. You know, because we've all been there. We get all bright-eyed and excited, and you know that feeling when you just start a new army, you want to buy everything, don't you? Al, you're still there. Is there anything on the shelf you don't want right now?
I just bought Captain Lysander.
Man bought one of the most expensive HQs he possibly can for the fist right now. Now, we all know we may not need all these things that we want right now. We just want to go out and reach and grab everything.
I need him.
But you want to find out what's going to work in your army right away. And there are some units out there that just look cool as hell. Some of the units out there that, story-wise, he's awesome. May not be the best thing on the table.
Right.
Like Terminators. I love Terminators. I love the way it looks, especially Arjak and the Shield Brothers serving the High King of Fenris. They're such a cool unit. But because Wolfen are way cooler and way more effective on the table, I'm never going to take them again. I've probably got almost $100 worth of Terminators sitting in my box I never touch.
Right, and that's actually a really good point because sometimes some of these units actually cost a lot, point-wise.
Oh, absolutely. So there's a cost associated with taking a model on the table, but then there's a financial cost for just buying them, painting them, and owning them.
Again, like we said in the previous video, it's an investment.
So research what you're going to get, what you're going to take, and that will save you money from wasting units that never get used.
Well.
So now that we know, we've put in our research, we know what units we want to take, time to build an army list, right?
Right, that's right.
But Freak, what is an army list?
An army list is basically going to be a list of all of your units that you are bringing to the battle table. You're going to have to know not just the units, but the stats of each of these units. Everything detailed down to the weapons that they're going to be using.
Right, and all the special rules that go with them, super important, right? Because certain units can do some fantastic things that maybe some others can't.
Right, and another reason why you want to make sure you have your list is because you're going to be comparing your list with your opponent.
And that's super important. We call that loadouts at the beginning of a match. Is you have the loadouts, you show them your list, or at least talk about the list. And that way, everybody understands what's on the field at the beginning, because you don't want to come across the one player who's like, oh, I'm losing. Oh, but you've activated my trap card. And you've challenged this model that has some incredible special rules and a power weapon that's going to destroy you because he gives one kid kills.
Yeah, that's not good. That guy's buried in the backyard right now.
Which, we're at the store right now. It's not even our yard.
Nope.
So don't be that guy, and of course keep yourself from coming across that guy.
Right.
Exchange those army lists at the beginning, but if we don't know how much these, how many points these units cost, or what their stats are, how do we even get these army lists?
Oh, that's what's great about Battle Scribe. You can actually get, first of all, you can get these out of your codex, but most of all, you can get them directly from Battle Scribe.
Battle Scribe is a very popular app that many of us use, and if you don't want to lay down the $40 to $50 for your codex, then you can stagger that cost. You will eventually need that codex, but you can stagger that cost and just use Battle Scribe.
Right. As a matter of fact, Battle Scribe is available for iPhone and for Droid.
Yeah, and it's very user-friendly. I mean, you can just go in, tap to pick your troops, tap to pick what weapons they have, tap to pick your elites, you know, all down the list, and it'll let you know when your list is compliant. It'll let you change up your formations.
Right.
You know, I can take a standard CAD, or I can take my Wolves Unleashed detachment, or my Champions of Fenris.
Right.
It'll adjust depending on what I want to take.
Right. What's really cool is in a future video, we're actually going to cover the navigation portion of Battle Scribe. If you're not familiar with it, we'll actually take you through each menu and show you how to use it.
And one of the cool things we're going to show you is that if you hit a certain button, it'll display every stat, every special ability for those guys, and it'll even let you send it to a printer, so that way you can have a paper copy to take with you to game night.
Well, that is cool, because now you've got a hard copy of your actual list.
So it's a great tool to have. So we talked about staggering the cost of the rule book. We talked about staggering the cost of your codex, and each of those are going to be about between $40 and $50. So that right there is a in-game savings of a whole bill. Okay. So
for those that don't know what that is, 100.
Yeah, if you've never served in retail or restaurants before, a bill is going to be $100. And I definitely would much more enjoy getting into the game, not spending an extra $100. I don't need to right away.
Right, because I can use that $100 and fill in my army.
Because we are crack addicts at this, after all. So right away, if you save that $100, that'll get you in the game. And keep in mind, this is to play friendly games with other people. Okay, if you decide to get serious about this, you play in a serious tournament scene.
Right, tournament.
The tournament is going to require you to have your own rule book and codex on hand.
Not only that, it's actually good to have a hard copy of your, especially the codex, because there are some things that you're going to have to reference that you can't really quickly do if from Battle Scribe, you know, such as actual weapons list. It's all in the back of your codex. Okay, so a lot of little good information that you're going to need from the codex is good to actually have that.
But if you're just getting in on the cheap, these are great tools to use.
That's right.
Now, speaking of tools, what are some other tools of the trade, Freak?
The cool thing about it is that you're going to need a few other tools such as dice, which in Warhammer 40k 7th edition, it's called D6s, right? You're
What's
gonna
a
need
D6?
D, it stands for dice, and 6 means six-sided.
Definitely got to be the six-sided dice, because if you go buy a Dungeons and Dragons set or a Pathfinder set of dice, you're going to get all kinds of weird shapes. So
Right.
you want specifically D6.
Right, you don't want 10-sided dice or you know, 3-sided or anything like that. You want 6-sided dice. Now, besides dice, you're also going to need a measuring tape, and those two are, well, if you go to a game store, you can actually purchase both of these from them, but it's going to cost you a good bit.
Oh yeah, I could. I think like $15.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely. They're really tiny and cute and all, but
Or you could go to your a section of your store a regular grocery store where they sell games, card games, games for children, and you could get some dice for like $1 or $2.
Right, or just raid your kid brother's Farkle game and get 6 sets of 8.
Or
dice.
if you've got some old board games lying around.
Yep. You don't have to actually use anything official. So as long as it's real dice, they're not loaded, because you will get murdered.
Same thing with the tape measure. It doesn't have to be a $20 Games Workshop tape measure. It can be a tape measure from your toolbox.
Yep.
It can be a tape measure from your local dollar store, pound shop.
Your neighbor's garage. Just go next door. And
when we first started playing, nobody in the store had their own tape measure. Everybody was sharing, and it was slowing the game down a lot. So I went to my local Walmart and got like 10 of these $1 tape measures and was just giving them out to people.
He paid for them. He didn't, just take them.
Well, yes, but then we're just passing them out to people, so that way it would be easier to play.
Not to like homeless people, just people that play the game.
People play the game. Absolutely. You could even steal, the sewing measuring tape from your mom or your wife, your girlfriend. Just take it right out of their hands.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Draw back a nub.
I mean, it might cost you sleeping on the couch for a while, but anything for Warhammer 40K.
Right. Just sleep with one eye open.
Freak, what's the most important thing to have on the table if we're going to play the game?
You got to have your models. You got to have something to bring to the table.
All right, so models is really where the crack is at.
I tell you what, crack indeed. And that's where a lot of your money is going to go, is in the models, because you're going to have to actually investigate, do your research, find out which models you really want to bring to the table. And remember, guys, each one of these models, or units, if you will, are going to have a point associated to it.
And a definite monetary cost. If you get them brand new in box, most of these units will be about 40 to 50 bucks out of the box, brand new.
Right. As a matter of fact, my very first units that I bought for my Imperial Fist were my first tactical squad, and they cost me roughly 34 bucks, brand spanking new. I cried.
And for a tactical squad that may be 60 points stock, you're trying to get into a 500-point combat patrol game right at the beginning, that means that's a lot of those sets of $50 boxes of models that's going to take you to get there, and that can be super intimidating.
Right. You'll be living underneath a bridge in a cardboard box for sure.
So what are some alternatives? First of all, stealing. So just catch kids right as they come out of your local game store. Knock it out of the kids' hands.
Tackle them first.
Swoop up the box and run away.
Right.
And if you can't run faster than the kids, you didn't deserve the model that day.
That's right. You deserve to get beat.
Or alternatively,
just kidding, guys.
Secondhand models are really a noob's best friend.
Right. It saved me a lot of money.
And so we have a pride thing, right? We're brand new. We want to have our own stuff. We're amazed. We want to hang with the big kids, right? And we want everything pristine and new. But secondhand models can be just as awesome.
Right. One of the things that I think brought pride to me was the fact that I was able to turn a model that was already used. Somebody pretty much discarded it in the used bin, of course. But I had the opportunity to strip that model down and paint it the way that I wanted. And it turned out absolutely amazing. So just seeing the difference just brings a little pride in that process as well.
And once you strip it down, you restore it, you give it some TLC, you'll feel that pride. That model is yours. And a little elbow grease, you're going to be super bonded to that model. So definitely look into that. Some places you can get them. Some of your game stores may have a used bin, and trust me, every game night, I'm always hitting up that used bin because I want to see what kind of finds I can get. I found a $30-something Rune Priest one day for $8 in the used bin.
That's pretty good.
It was amazing, and he was in brand new condition. So he went in my army. eBay, right?
eBay's a good place.
Amazon,
Craigslist,
Facebook. There's a place on our Facebook for Houston called the Houston Bits Bazaar.
Right.
You just look them up on Facebook, and they're selling stuff all the time, and they let you know when they have weekend swaps where they're all trading stuff.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, again, guys, hook up with your community, your local community, because you will learn a lot from them. There's going to be somebody that's either trying to trade in their army, trying to go with a different army, they want to sell theirs. There's always opportunities.
Just the other day, we saw someone come into our local game store with literally a cardboard box of tanks and said $20 a tank. I mean, it can be a great score.
Oh yeah, he was mobbed.
So right there, that's a pretty good list of things that are going to get you in the game cheaper than you otherwise have to be. I mean, first of all, on just the books alone, you know, staggering that cost of $100, that's way less intimidating to get into the game, right?
Right, definitely.
We get some secondhand units, give them a little TLC, and again, it's another great way that we can make sure that we're getting these models at way cheaper than they need to be.
Right, definitely.
So that's it for now. Thank you for joining us on the Frost and Fists, and when you join us next time, we'll teach you everything that you need to know about stripping.
Stripping models, right?
Till then, stay frosty, my friends.
Models, right? Stripping models, Methos?